what is best for the economy may not be best for the individual. And what is best for the individuals may not be best for the economy. When inflation is high, it can be bad for the economy, but it can be good for us. EPF might be forced to look at more liquid investment that gives them, shorter returns.
Weathering the pandemic storm and planning for your financial future. How should people deal with the anxiety triggered by uncertainty over their financial future? With assistance like the EPF's i-Sinar facility, how can people take control of their finances during the COVID-19 pandemic? This week, Money Matters takes a closer look at how to take control of finances during the pandemic. It's 5 p.m. and once again, you're with me, Zahir Kelvinong Abdullah, on TV3's flagship business program, Money Matters. Joining me in the studio this week is economist and Chief Executive Officer of Inter-Pacific Asset Management, Sdn Bhd, Datuk Dr. Nazwi Khan Adam Khan. It's good to have you on the program, Datuk.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you so much.
Can we start off by asking you regarding the i-Sinar facility? Basically, it's meant to be a temporary fix, if you will, during difficult times for people to spend, to stimulate the economy, and in turn to revive the economy, so to speak.
Correct.
So can we say that it's meant for necessities, for the purpose of for continuing to survive? But of course, there are concerns now on those with no urgent need who could end up buying luxury goods, change cars, and renovate homes, or perhaps even look at high-risk investments.
Thank you, Kelvin. I'm an economist. I'm a trained economist. I look at it beyond the consumptions that this people is going to make. I think what the government is trying to do is to stimulate spending. We are facing one of the greatest economic crises in this decade. So when the government allows us to withdraw, that means, right, there will be 10 million people withdrawing EPF account 1, and this is likely to inject more spending. Let me tell you one thing. If they do not withdraw, they are going to save. There's a paradox of saving. Saving does not stimulate the economy. The opposite of saving is spending. You see, when the government allows all these 10 million depositors of EPF to withdraw, that's a lot of money. The way I calculate, we probably have about 70, 80 billion ringgit that is likely to be withdrawn. All right? EPF has to forego the 70 billion ringgit. And these depositors is likely to spend on consumption stuff. You need to understand, consumption, spending make roughly 70% of the GDP, domestic demand, you see. If they are not allowed to withdraw, what will happen? This money will be kept there, until they are 55 years old. So to me, this is not only a solution to the economic crisis, it's also, to me, it looks like a forced, how do I say, incentivized program by the government to ensure these 10 million depositors of EPF will spend the money.
Right.
Of course, the question is how they are going to spend, right? Of course, they should not spend on unnecessary things. They need to understand what are the best consumption or spending that can stimulate the economy. They need to spend on the sectors that give the highest multiplier effect, which is, things like food, like cars, like house, that kind of stuff. So I think this is a great campaign, but I must tell Malaysians here, this is only a temporary fix. Actually, what we need is a prolonged campaign to ensure Malaysians actually spend.
Right.
Now, I'm going to make one controversial statement here. What is best for the economy may not be best for the individuals.
Right.
And what is best for the individuals may not be best for the economy. Of course, we need to take a balanced approach. You see, I'll give you an example. When inflation is high, it can be bad for the economy, but it can be good for us. Right? When inflation is high, normally our wage, our salary will be higher. But in this case, what the government is trying to do is to strike a balance so that people have more money, to solve the immediate crisis, right? The immediate financial woes. At the same time, probably to teach them to do their some planning.
Yes, because this is basically to assist on basically covering commitments outside of the targeted repayment assistance, because basically looking at what the government has basically been doing to help the rakyat, this is something additional basically meant for the rakyat.
It is meant for the rakyat, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, but I think what I'm worried is the individuals that would withdraw the money, are they equipped, for all these things? Which means before they take the money, they must have at least some financial planning, right? This is what we call financial roadmap. They need to manage their debts, right? First of all, when you withdraw the money, the rule of thumb is to always keep your debt under control.
Right.
They need to use the money to pay the debt first. Second, they need to think about protection, insurance, to ensure that they have life insurance, that kind of stuff. Number three, then they can think about, getting all their necessities.
Yeah. Okay, but what can you say regarding the methods that can be used to remind contributors to spend prudently when they make use of their i-Sinar facility, like comprehensive campaigns or promotions?
I would say the whole corporate business need to be alert on this. They need to educate their staff, the employees, or even the company that we buy the goods from. Probably these companies, they also need to remind the consumers, okay, these are the best product for them to use from i-Sinar. For example, education, maybe, I don't know, anything that is relevant to us. I would also like to add one more thing. I think most Malaysians forgot that EPF is set up not to actually, to fight the crisis, not to help to ease the crisis. EPF is set up to prepare Malaysians for the future.
Yes, and for their retirement, so to speak.
It's not to ease their financial problems as at this moment.
Yep.
So they need to consider the trade-off between the present and the future. Of course, they need to give more weight and priority on the future.
Right. Dato', hold that thought. Yes. We've got to go for a very quick commercial break.
Thank you.
Stay with us and join us on Twitter. Thanks for staying with us on Money Matters this Saturday evening. If you're just joining us, we're speaking to economist and Chief Executive Officer of Inter-Pacific Asset Management, Sindiran Berhad, Dr. Nazri Khan. Again, just following up where we left off just now, the suitability of the EPF savings for investment and savings elsewhere, like you said just now, EPF basically is not something that is meant for you to basically take out and invest elsewhere. It's basically meant for your retirement fund. So the suitability of this?
I would say that the campaign that EPF is doing is good for the people to ensure they consume, they spend the money well. Number two, they also force all these people to do at least some financial roadmap. How are they going to use the money? They have to ensure whatever money that they withdraw need to give return better than what EPF has been given. EPF must be lauded. They have given consistent return to us, plus minus 6%, sometimes 7%. So people that withdraw this money, they need to ensure that whatever money they use need to give them return more than 6% or 7%. I would say, as at this moment, right, there are lots of investment that they can make. Right, maybe they can start up a business if they know the area very well. We have lots of investment that can generate return more than 7%. Of course, the issue is this: they need to ensure whether that is a priority or not. And to me, what matters is EPF. They must be able to handle this massive withdrawal, which I think EPF has very resilient operations. Otherwise, they might be overwhelmed by these massive withdrawals. But I think, given this campaign, the impact will be on EPF investment strategy. I believe over the next few months, we'll probably see EPF changing their strategy. This is just my speculation. EPF might be forced to look at more liquid investment that gives them, shorter returns because they need to cater for this immediate withdrawals. So we know now that EPF have close to 1 trillion investment assets. Maybe some of these need to be geared towards more liquid investment with lower return. So I think there might be a trade-off, So maybe EPF will find a lot more returns that is less than the current return, but still competitive. But I was hoping that this withdrawal will not affect EPF investing strategy over the long haul.
Now, of course, the main concern here is with the number of withdrawals done by account holders who basically can I say they have a risk for those with low financial literacy?
Correct.
So
That's
suddenly
right.
they've taken their money out, so they might not even know what would be the correct avenue for them to invest.
That's tough.
So how can they basically look at this?
That's where I think investment advisors, financial planners, unit trust consultant, investment professional, they have to come forward as at this moment. They have to come forward. They need to aggressively educate the potential depositors that is going to withdraw, especially those that have low wage earners. Kelvin, I think this program is good, but it might affect the low wage earners. Yeah, the low wage earners mean those that have account one probably less, I know, than 200,000 ringgit. These are the people that have less money to be used for the future. For those that are high wage earners, no problem, right? I think it won't affect them that much. For the low wage earners, more education need to be given to them. Eventually we have to ensure that whatever things that we do right now, number one, these people will have instant money. That is the pros of this campaign. They will have instant money, and I think this campaign, i-Sinar also, I welcome EPF, I must thank the government. This is likely to give extra consumption or stimulus, extra power for the domestic spending in the country. No doubt about that. But the cons, right? I think the limitation of this program is that, number one, I think this is likely to be at the expense of the future saving of these depositors. We are not sure whether these people, especially the low wage earners, can they replenish this saving? And this is likely to create more burden to the companies,
now,
to the employers.
Adding on to what you are saying here, because there are many financial products right now which promise various returns, prompting people to rush into making financial commitments, including unscrupulous deals, right? Where people, like you said, those on the lower wage would probably fall victim to, which has happened, because even Bursa Malaysia recently cautioned retail investors of scams. So basically, how do people basically weed themselves out to ensure that they don't fall to scammers?
Thank you, Kevin. Let me correct your phrase. Not only the low wage earners become prey for this scam.
Yes.
The smart people.
Correct, everybody, yeah?
Ironically, the fund manager themselves, sometimes they also become prey to these nice scams. I think it's a lot to do with the psychological aspects, right? Number one, we know some of these scammers, they look very nice people, right? And number two, I think they give very short-term returns. So most of Malaysians especially, we are nice people, right? We always think short terms, right? Because these scammers, right, I don't know what you call it, right? Normally they give high return the first 3 months. After that, they disappear forever. So I think it's a lot to do with psychological reasons. So it's good that government have this i-Sinar program. Hopefully we can reduce, this temptation, to go to all these scammers. And I also think, right, most of the factors why people become prey, is because they always think, right, everybody is doing it. Everybody has invested in this product.
Right,
Why
so they're
can't
sort
I?
of jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak. Yeah,
And of course, in this time, a lot of people are desperate.
Yes.
See, my mom's doing it, my uncle is doing it.
And they made some money out of it, so I might as well do it as well.
Right. That's really a problem.
Okay, now those who just took up new jobs, right? It will be a challenge for them to manage money, especially if their income is low and the possibility of lingering uncertainty on employment prospects. So how to proportion their wages, like compelling themselves to perhaps save maybe 10% of their salary?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I think as a rule of thumb, we always use 70, 20, 10. 70% is meant for expense, our current expense, our living expense. That is the optimum rules. 20% is to reduce your debts. Right? You should use 20% of your income every month to pay your debts, right? Because debts can be a silent killer. And the balance, 10% must be used for investment. But let me correct that. 10% on investment that can give a relatively higher return. Because they have so many investment outside there that is risky. So we need to understand, we need to find returns that can be slightly higher than what we can get, in this case, from EPF, right? So I think that's not an issue. And I seriously believe there are a lot of good debts. A lot of good debts means you can borrow at a soft interest rate and you can invest in product that can give 3 or 4 times than the interest rate that you're earning.
Right.
So debts can also be good sometimes. Right. So
Dato',
I think
I'll
the real
just
word
have
is
to interrupt you here. We just to go final commercial break, but I'll come back. I'll get you to continue with where we left off. Stay with us on Money Matters, and we'll see you right after this. Welcome back to Money Matters. Dr. Nazri Khan Adam Khan, Economist and Chief Executive Officer of Inter-Pacific Asset Management, Sdn Berhad, is with us this evening. Following up, just before we went to that commercial break just now, to create the second income, the viability.
Correct.
This pandemic might bring some level of decline in income, basically throughout the whole year, like in 2020 for some people.
Correct.
What strategies can be put in place to ensure their income for the next few years are compensated for?
Correct. I would say they need to invest in financial education. They need to equip themselves that we have lots of investment outside there. They need to start generating a second income. I would say probably second career, where the second income can generate higher return than their main income. I think there are lots of instruments that we can invest right now. I would say that unit trust is one of it, right? But they have to ensure that whatever they invest, it must be balanced, and they need to diversify. I think the most important thing is that they need to find a good financial advisor, a reliable fund manager with strong track record. That is very important for us. I think it's very easy for them to check this. They can always go to the website Securities Commission, or FIM, Federation Investment Managers Association, right? And they can check who have, the best performing fund manager, for example, right? And I would say there are also lots of other instruments that they can do it themselves, right? They can trade, for example. They can invest for long term, right? But of course, they need to understand the rules of investment here, right? They need to think long term. When the market go down, they need to cost average. They must have some lump sum money to whack when the price is lower, so that they can do more value average. And as I said, they need, to me, a good mentor. Mentor is very important. I think in Malaysia we have lots of licensed investment professional that's willing to give advice for free, right? Make sure they find one of these and don't fall victims to so many unscrupulous scams outside there.
Regarding the use of the i-Sinar facility right now, there have been suggestions, right? That when things get better, contributors should replenish the fund by making ad hoc deposits to ensure that their retirement fund is not ruined. Do you think that this is a sound advice?
Yes, it is a sound advice. That's why it's important. They need to plan before they withdraw the money. How are they going to consume the money? How are they going to spend the money? They need to ensure that they invest in good things that can generate better returns. They need to make use of the tax incentive, right? Maximize the tax relief that we have. Invest in stuff like smartphone, tablets, internet subscription, gym, that kind of stuff. Anything that can give them better returns, monetary and non-monetary, right? And I always believe that if they can make return, probably more than what we can get, then they can. I'm sure they can replenish this money. And don't forget that employer also gives some free money to them. We have employee contribution. So I know a lot of people think that they are too young, to think about this future retirement.
But they still have to as well. So, of course, looking at what's going to happen really soon, like the vaccination rollout, which is basically kicking off in the next few days, Malaysia obviously is very optimistic about its economic recovery plan, as you mentioned. Besides the vaccine exercise and external climate, so to speak, what other factors could influence the sentiment? Would it be conducive enough to attract more foreign investors?
Yes, I think what we need to show is our culture, right? We need more culture that to do more partnerships, right? Do more synergy, to have more business network. I think this is very important. And I would say the most important is that start to work longer than we are supposed to do. If every Malaysian can work extra 15 minutes a day, we will have 65 extra productive hours in a year. So that is a lot of productivity. I think for us, productivity Malaysians, let's work together as Malaysian society. We work extra 15 minutes every day. That will add up, probably a few thousand hours productive for us. That is more than enough to boost our GDP. And I also like to encourage all Malaysians, especially SMEs. We have 1 million SME in this country. If all of these SME spend only 10,000 ringgit a month, we will have 120 billion ringgit a year. And if they invest in Malaysian products, to me, that is the best, factors that can boost our economy for
So
this
it's
year.
basically buy Malaysian.
Buy Malaysian product.
Dato', thank you very much.
Prioritize national
Thank you very much for
Thank you,
appearing on Money
Kelvin.
Matters. It's been
Cool.
a pleasure having you with us.
You too. You too.
We'll be back the same day, same time next week for another discussion with more money insights that matter. Until then, I'm Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah. Bye for now and stay safe.